In early 2011, Republican Delegate Harvey Morgan made his second attempt to decriminalize marijuana in the state of Virginia. Expert testimony from a former CIA analyst, pleas from an Iraq war veteran, a Marine, a teacher, several engineers, and many concerned citizens. Countless positive points were made, and not a single citizen had come in opposition of it.
Members of the committee have no idea how many people have come to me in support of this legislation ever since I introduced the bill last year. And of all those people, I believe I can count on less than 5 fingers the number of people who have really been concerned about it. We spend tens of millions of dollars every year in Virginia to prosecute pot smokers. On the other hand, imposing a $500 fine could save millions and rake in about $10 million in fines.
We have thousands of people in Virginia that support this. Okay?
Speaking for my colleagues, but up here on the dais, you've got two current prosecutors and a former police officer. I would submit to the assembled folks in the room that the average length of stay of incarceration of someone convicted in Virginia of possession of marijuana first offense is statistically 0 days across the board. So,
a few behind-the-counter whispers, a quick cell phone call, and that blithe remark were all that Delegate Gilbert needed to kill the bill. He maintained that no small possession first-time marijuana offenders go to jail ever in Virginia.
Brought forth and said to you, whose lives are ruined, and where is the justice in that? Where is the justice? I am disgusted as a goddamn American and as a...
Passionate testimony and tear-filled pleas appeared to have no effect on Gilbert. Even one of his Republican colleagues sided with supporters. Still, Gilbert's mind was made up.
However, I recognize there's a big problem, and smoking a joint is not a big deal in this.
But Delegate Todd Gilbert, why? What are his true motivations? What's he thinking? Why is he so against this simple reform measure? Like a handful of other right-wing fringe Republicans in Virginia, Delegate Gilbert gets called his fair share of names. He's been likened to Uncle Fester and even Mussolini, and not just for his looks. When an elderly nun was killed by a drunk driver in his district, Todd immediately made political hay out of the incident on a variety of media outlets.
Todd Gilbert has no sympathy. So what did you make of this guy's reaction, the uncle's reaction?
In fact, Todd has real reasons to ignore his district's drug problems. We're talking booze, the real hard stuff, malt liquor, distilled spirits, and fortified wines. That's right. Among Todd's top contributors are bar owners and liquor distributors. Throw in a few trial lawyers and large banks, even a few used car salesmen. It would be funny if it were not so true. His funders list reads like a mediocre honky-tonk song. It's also very convenient for Todd's top donors that he sits on several alcohol and DUI-related committees. But what about other sins? How about a prosecutor that steals? In 2009, he was accused of stealing mail from a campaign opponent, an act he later boasted about on Facebook. It may seem that Todd Gilbert is on thin ice, but his legislative seat is a shoo-in. To voters, he deftly maintains the persona of Mr. Clean, tough on crime and down on drugs. Then again, winning is easy when some of your opponents are sick, hurt, and even dying. A crippled Vietnam veteran in his District 15, unable to safely use medical marijuana, decided to face his own death rather than wage another political battle. He's using his remaining strength to hand build a coffin for himself. And then there's the college student caught with just a few flakes of marijuana. His conviction and criminal record will haunt him, from his sabotaged career to his ruined life.
I received a letter from a Virginia Tech student. He writes, "My sophomore year in college, I made a poor decision, an error in judgment which would cost me the future I had envisioned. Sparing you the details, my whole life was turned upside down. My formal education, college friends, bank account, lifestyle, and my mother's trust, all gone. Life, and it is now attached to my record for the rest of my life. But I sure pay taxes for police and courts. They have more important things to do than criminally prosecute someone for having a few dried up leaves in his possession. It is an unreasonably heavy burden." Another, "I love my state of Virginia, but it seems to treat me as a criminal instead of a contributor. I'm a college graduate twice over, and I have a dismissed misdemeanor for possession of marijuana. It haunts me nearly every day because it cannot be expunged."
One of these studies has concluded that it's not a very dangerous drug, and the way to minimize its harm to society is to treat it the way we treat alcohol and tobacco, that is, either by legalizing it or at least moving towards decriminalizing it.
Police time spent arresting marijuana users is police time not spent going after child molesters, rapists, and murderers. Real crimes with real victims.
In 2008, an estimated 20,000 people were criminally prosecuted in Virginia for possessing an ounce or less of marijuana.
We're spending too much money on all these people in jails. You have to search 10 cars before you find one marijuana offender. Therefore, you're spending at least $1,000 to find each marijuana offender, and therefore that's at least $16 million a year just to find and arrest people who have marijuana with them.
Gilbert maintained that we should leave the law as it is. We must have very nice police and prosecutors in Virginia. He believes that no one ever goes to jail for first-time possession. Therefore, it doesn't cost us anything.
Of something, when the cost of incarceration of folks for possession of marijuana is virtually nil, because they're not going to jail, period. People getting caught for their first time after they've already gotten a pass on their first time, they're not going to jail. So I just don't appreciate trying to mislead us into thinking that 20,000 people are costing us $1,600 a pop all over the state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Todd Gilbert. Why? Former prosecutor Gilbert. Why? If you live in any of the towns or counties shown here, Virginia's District 15, contact him and ask him why. This public notice was produced by Fair Law Virginia, a voluntary citizens group with no funding.